Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Roundtable. My name is Ben Hedges, and I'm here in the studio with Holly Kellum. Welcome, Holly.
Good to be here, Ben.
And we've also got David joining us on the line. Welcome, David.
Thanks for having me.
It's great. So we're still talking about the debate because it's the biggest news story from last night and today. And what I want to focus on in this segment is, was the debate fair? Because the rules have been changed a little bit. It was originally changed for Biden, and then Kamala Harris's campaign didn't like the rules, and then they later agreed to it. And I know people always have feelings about whether they're fair towards Trump or not. Trump accuses the moderators of being unfair to him, and Kamala chose to do it with, it was ABC, I think, last night, not Fox. They didn't want to do the Fox debate because of Fox leaning to the right. So let's talk about it. Holly, first of all, what do you think? Do you think the debate was fair?
It definitely wasn't the worst debate that I've ever seen in terms of the moderators kind of, favoring one side or the other. But I do think there was one place where I felt like, first of all, I don't think that moderators should be in the business of fact checking. I just think that that should be left to the candidates. And anytime they try to fact check, it makes them look biased. So the one time, Trump talked about, I think it was Springfield, Indiana.
Eating cats.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Yes, okay, so I guess you know the story better than I do probably, but there are people that say that they lost pets, and they are accusing the wave of...
and there was some police body cam footage of a police officer that got to the scene, and then the witness is saying someone cut the head off a cat and was eating the cat, but you don't actually see
who it was.
Yeah, you don't actually see it, but you see a person telling a police officer that it happened and stuff. Yeah.
And this is being blamed on people who came into the country illegally, and so that's why this is an immigration story. And the moderator, he, tried to fact check this in real time by saying that he had talked to the city manager, and the city manager was, denying that this was the case.
Yeah, he just gave a quote from a public official who could be lying, because it would make that public official look bad if it was true. So that's also biased, and that also deserves fact checking. So I agree with you. I think it probably was not really very fair to do that. What do you think, David, about the debate in general?
Yeah, I got 2 points. One of them, I thought the moderators were, I don't think they asked a lot of the right questions, because obviously I focused a lot on China, and there wasn't really a question on China. I thought that was really disappointing. It didn't happen with the CNN debate either. So I thought that was bad. So the question choices were already putting me off. Now, how does this relate to whether the debate was fair or not? Well, like you guys mentioned, there was this live fact checking. I think they also took away a lot of the time that the candidates could have answered more questions, trying to debate some of the nitty-gritty details on some of the quotes that people said. I think you can use that to start a question, but then give the platform to the candidates to kind of go back and forth, which actually it does give me one point that I thought was interesting, was that ABC this time really did give both candidates what I thought was an equal amount of time to respond, even when Trump and Harris at some points, I think 2 or 3 instances that they were trying to fight for the mic for another minute, it was given to them in the end. So I thought that it was very liberal in terms of how they handled the mic time. But again, I wish that the moderators would focus on actual substantive sort of topics, right? They did talk about Ukraine, the Afghan withdrawal, but the Ukraine question was like, everybody knows that Trump said he's going to end the war in 24 hours, and he hasn't given a clear answer. So for trying to ask that same question again, I think it was more performance than substance. I think a better question would be, talking again, like about China, and which also with the Afghan withdrawal, that part, I also think, well, I will give them credit for it, but I do think that they could have been much stronger in the foreign policy side. So those were sort of my 2 points on debate fairness.
I think in terms of questions that like both candidates have previously talked about, I do think there's a balance here. Like, yes, like Kamala Harris was also grilled on her fracking policies. And you could say like, well, that was already rehashed in the CNN interview she gave. But then, it's kind of like, well, this debate is something that, should be for everyone, not just people that keep up with the news. So I do think, they have to kind of balance that. And I do think like they were asked about a lot of things that, previously they had been asked about. So it's kind of like, do you not ask them because, their answers are out there in public? I do think, though, it gives them, in theory, it gives their opponent the opportunity to then challenge them on those points. Whereas, sometimes if you're just if they're just giving an interview or talking about something at a rally, there isn't that pushback necessarily.
Yeah, I also think, with the new policy now of having mics switched off, I think it would be better if they switch them back on again, because that was done for Biden to make it easier for him because of his cognitive decline, I guess.
No, it was because of the previous debate, the previous Biden-Trump debate. They were both interrupting each other constantly.
But it was done at the request of Biden's campaign, I believe.
It was, yes.
And I think it's that Biden can't. They probably wanted that because he couldn't really handle the debate. He wanted it to be, to be easier for him without Trump interrupting him, etc. And Trump, kind of agreed to it. And I think Trump has now got used to it, and he seemed perfectly at home with just waiting to give a response, actually. But I think it would have been better if they could have actually talked to each other, because it's kind of like Trump talks to the moderator, then Kamala talks to the moderator. I would like to have seen Trump ask questions directly to Kamala and Kamala ask questions to Trump.
Yeah, it's almost like, I don't know if for anyone who watches Congress or any sort of like, city town hall meeting, you're supposed to direct your questions at the president or, whoever's the moderator of the meeting. And that's kind of what Trump was doing is like, tell her I said this, instead of like directing his,
She was looking at him way more than he looked at her, wasn't she?
She did, yeah, which I think is, I don't know. I do think, getting into male-female dynamics, I do think that Trump has to be very kind of careful about how he's seen as going after somebody like this, because the narrative is always that he is attacking a woman, right?
Yes,
but
only
it's not...
Rosie O'Donnell.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account.
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
But there's always this like, this talking point afterwards that, right. He attacked her. And so I think when he kind of looks just at the moderators and he lets her kind of attack him, it's a different,
That was probably why he was doing that, wasn't it? Because, he knows that he does get accused of attacking women a lot.
Right.
And
well, that even came up, this was the post-debate. I think it was in the spin room, ABC had this whole panel of people on. And, one of the things they addressed was, him calling her stupid and low IQ and all these things.
Did he say that during the debate?
No, not during the debate. This was beforehand.
Okay.
Yeah, he's, questioned her mental acuity. And so I do think he has to be careful because of that.
Yeah.
And he's also, trying to appeal to female voters, which are a big demographic that he needs to reach to be able to win the election. So, I do think, that is important that he not look like he's attacking her too much. But I don't think she has the same restrictions, which I think is why, she's happy to make eye contact and look at him the whole time. I do think going to the male-female dynamics, she just has a very expressive face. And you could see that every time he would say something that she didn't like, it was written all over her face, what she wanted to say. Of course, her mic was muted and we didn't get the chance to actually hear what she was going to say.
Trump, he's just he has the same expression most of the time, but then he would just give a little sort of like that,
Right.
Whereas she was like all over the place, right?
Yeah. Well, and I do think his face kind of fit the narrative that she was trying to play here. That is, he is trying to divide America, and he's trying to his campaign is all negative, and he did for a lot of the debate. I felt like his resting face was a little bit kind of dour. He just had this kind of like grim look on his face, where
he wasn't as presidential as the first debate. The Biden one.
Yeah. I think he could have worked more on his expression. But again, I don't think he does these coaching sessions where, they're doing like these mock debates.
He doesn't do as much prep. So After the debate, the Harris campaign came out and said that they actually want to have another one.
Yes.
And Trump was sort of like, well, I'm not so keen on it. But reality, I think he probably will, because he said he wanted more anyway. David, what do you think? Do you have any predictions for next debate?
Well, I think Trump needs to go back to the drawing board. Well, in two ways. In one is if they schedule the debate after the vice president debate, it gives a chance for J.D. Vance and Walz to kind of use what happened in this debate to further advance that discussion. And then I think if Trump can, I think his advisors needs to tell him that no matter what, he just needs to stick to attacking her reasons for not doing things for 4 years. I think that's the winning path for Trump. Now, for Harris, I think there's no reason for them to not do a second debate, because the more Harris gets in front of the camera and show her voters or her supporters or even the swing voters or the middle voters that she's capable of talking about policies, whether or not these are actually going to be done is a different thing. But if she's able to articulate these policies like she had done last night, I think it's always a bonus point for her. Saw CNN exit polls from last night. Obviously, Trump won on immigration and economy. Harris won on abortion, I believe also on freedom and democracy. So it's not like it's going to shift a lot, but I do think if, her sort of expectations for her continue to be maintained in this way, I think it'll give her a better chance against Trump.
What do you think, Holly, about the second debate?
Yeah, I mean, Trump has been needling Harris for weeks now to A, do more interviews, B, to do more debates. He wants one on Fox, but, he also agreed. Well, he agreed to this one and the other one that he did with Biden already. But he has said,
so
like, anytime, anywhere.
In theory, be on Fox, because the first one was on CNN, this one was ABC.
Yes,
so you've got two sort of left-leaning ones. Really should be on Fox next time.
Should, but this isn't, so what's different about these debates versus previous years is they have done away with the, in theory, bipartisan or apolitical presidential debate commission, which had set up the debates for over 30 years now. And so now the campaigns are dealing directly with the media companies themselves. And so there's a lot more, I would say, politics involved. Whereas maybe the debate commission, they would have chosen a Fox journalist to, be the moderator for the next debate. It's really up to the campaigns, and Trump has said that, this was a while ago, but he had said, at some point, like, she wants a debate, sure, anytime, anywhere, any place, like any moderator, he had sounded like he's willing to go into any lion den to debate her.
Really, whether it's fair or not kind of goes down to what they can negotiate between the campaigns, doesn't it?
Exactly.
I think that's a great point to end it on, guys. What do you think? Do you think the debates or last night's debate was fair? Leave your comments below. And what are your hopes for the next debate? Do you think it's going to happen? And what do you hope to see? I'd love to hear what you think. Of course, thank you to Holly. You can check out her channel, Newspeak, on screen now. And thank you very much to David as well. I'll put a link to his channel on screen now as well.
And subscribe to the Roundtable. I'm Holly Kellum.
I'm Ben Hedges, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.